Hey YouTube faithful, Heavenly Prepper here. I want to talk today about prepping from a biblical perspective, and specifically from the book of Proverbs, which is commonly known as the wisdom of the Bible. And I want to talk about prepping and money and how it relates and what the book talks about. I'm going to focus on four themes. The first is giving to the poor and generosity in general. The second is work to build your wealth slowly by hard work and not quickly, especially by deceiving or scheming. Third is don't borrow money. Debt makes you a slave. And the fourth is prepping in general. So let's look at a couple of Proverbs directly. So let's focus on the first theme, which is giving to the poor and generosity. This is probably the second most important or most talked about theme in the book of Proverbs. And we go right to 11:24, and it says, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty." Moving along, we've got Proverbs 14:31. "Whoever opposes the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." Proverbs 19:17. "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." And one more here, Proverbs 28:27. "Those who give to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to them receive many curses." So that's kind of the first theme, is giving to the poor, being generous. And I think the bottom line here is, especially for stackers, and I know if you're like me, you're not just going out and spending all kinds of cash on your stack. You have to squirrel some money away, but it's important not to let the buildup of your stack blind you to what else is important, is that's giving and generosity, especially those less fortunate than us, not just in America but other countries as well. So let's go to the second theme, and that's work to build your wealth slowly by hard work and not quickly. So Proverbs 13:7 says, "One person pretends to be rich yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor yet has great wealth." Moving along, Proverbs 13:11. "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." And finally, Proverbs 21:6. "A fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare." So again, the takeaway there is honest, hard day's work, build money securely, day to day. Don't try quick schemes, especially by deceit, as that will lead you down a very wrong path. Okay, third theme is don't borrow money. Debt makes you a slave. Now, I'm not telling you don't borrow money to buy a house, which is nearly impossible to do these days without borrowing money. But let's just look at what the Bible says. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." Which, it's pretty much the case. There's really not a way around that. The more debt you have, the more you are beholden to those who own your debt. And lastly, let's talk about prepping. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." So this gets to the biblical necessity of prepping. Whether it be a natural disaster or some kind of prolonged collapse scenario, you need to have food, and they say olive oil, of course, back in the day, but you need to have stocks of food and water and the ability to live on your own means for an extended period of time. You don't just gobble up everything you have and don't have anything saved for a rainy day. It's not the biblical way. So, and this last proverb here kind of applies across the board, and I'd say is the most important topic. And that's Proverbs 3:9-10, which says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine." Now, most of us probably don't have barns or vineyards, but you get the point. You give your first 10% to God. You give the first fruits. So it's not the last thing. It's not, okay, I have $20 left over for my monthly budget. Let me put that in the tithes and offerings plate. No, it's, okay, here's what I make. Here's 10% off the top. there it is. Then I spend the rest. So, before you buy a single ounce of silver, ensure you're giving to your church or charity or what you deem important. So I just wanted to put that out there. Again, before you build that stack, make sure you're taking care of what's important from a biblical perspective, and you're putting your money in the right places, and you're not just building up for yourself, that you're being generous with your money to others and taking care of your own family. This is Heavenly Prepper, preaching and prepping.